For decades, Mexican drug cartels have grown into powerful transnational empires, moving billions in narcotics through tunnels, submarines, armored convoys, drones, and secret airstrips. Their deadliest export, fentanyl, kills more than 70,000 Americans each year. Traditional DEA raids and joint operations with Mexico have failed, as cartels adapt faster than law enforcement can respond. That deadlock shifted when U.S. military planners proposed a new strategy: overwhelming air dominance. Instead of predictable ground raids, they would use stealth fighters to strike without warning. This vision produced the secretive X-44 Manta and Operation Phantom Strike, a 90-day air campaign built to dismantle cartel infrastructure with unprecedented speed and precision. Cartels turn into combat forces. Over the past 2 decades, the cartels evolved into something closer to small armies than criminal gangs. Their communications networks rely on encrypted satellite systems, rivaling those used by militaries. They send drones with night vision cameras to scout U.S. border patrols. Smuggling convoys travel in vehicles reinforced with steel plating, capable of stopping rifle rounds, while cartel fighters wear military-grade body armor and carry automatic weapons. They operate hidden runways for prop planes and cargo jets converted to haul multi-ton drug shipments. Along the Pacific and Gulf coasts, semi-submersible and fully submersible craft slip past naval patrols with cocaine and synthetic drugs. Tunnels stretching half a mile under the border feature lights, ventilation, and rail systems. The result is a network with global reach, massive transport capability, and enough firepower to challenge lightly armed security forces. Despite years of enforcement, these cartels remain resilient. Each successful bust only pushes them to new routes or deeper underground. American agencies can seize tons of narcotics, but the cartels replace lost shipments with barely a pause. Even Mexico's military, hampered by corruption and fear, has struggled to reclaim cartel-dominated territory. The drug crisis became not just a policing issue, but a national security emergency. The political breakthrough. The tipping point came when U.S. leaders began treating cartels as terrorist organizations rather than mere criminal enterprises. A fictionalized but realistic scenario helped drive this change. A deadly attack on a U.S. border station in Eagle Pass, where cartel fighters using rocket-propelled grenades killed several Border Patrol agents in a 4-hour battle. Though hypothetical, the scenario mirrored intelligence reports about cartel plans to target U.S. sites. The shock prompted Congress to act swiftly. Lawmakers passed an authorization for use of military force, similar to those used in the War on Terror, and formally designated the largest cartels as foreign terrorist groups. The Pentagon received orders to prepare military solutions for the drug threat, something previous administrations had avoided. With decades of failed ground raids behind them, defense planners concluded that overwhelming air power was the only way to strike vast, well-hidden networks quickly and without tipping off cartel spotters. Air campaigns could cross borders faster than ground convoys and destroy critical infrastructure before it could be evacuated or rebuilt. The birth of the X-44 Manta. Behind this strategy was a remarkable aircraft. While the public focused on the F-22 Raptor and F-35 Lightning II, Lockheed Martin's legendary Skunk Works had been working on something even stealthier: the X-44 Manta. This fighter broke with conventional design. It had no tail at all, just a smooth, delta-shaped wing that looked more like science fiction than modern aviation. Thrust vectoring technology allowed the jet to steer by redirecting engine exhaust, eliminating the tail surfaces that usually betray an aircraft to radar. The result was a plane with an almost ghost-like radar signature, 75% smaller than the F-22's, which itself reflects as little radar as a marble. Enemy systems could only spot a Manta about 10 miles away, far too late to react. The Manta also had the power and reach needed for this mission. It carried 12 air-to-air missiles and 4 precision-guided bombs, more than double the payload of an F-35. And its fuel-efficient engines could keep it aloft for over 2,000 miles without tankers. It could soar above 60,000 feet, well beyond the range of most anti-aircraft weapons, and gather detailed intelligence with advanced sensors even through clouds or at night. Its onboard electronic warfare suite could jam cartel communications, disable radar, and even launch cyber attacks to crash their computer networks before a strike began. Decades of stealth development, from the F-117 to the F-22, had culminated in a single aircraft built for total air dominance. Mobile bases at sea. Even the most advanced jet needs a place to launch, and fixed U.S. air bases in Texas and Arizona are too distant for constant deep strikes into Mexico and Central America. The answer was the U.S. Navy's nuclear-powered aircraft carriers. Each carrier is essentially a floating city, loaded with millions of gallons of fuel, machine shops, missile stores, and satellite links to the Pentagon. Operating just 50 miles off the Mexican coast, a single carrier could send fighters nearly 800 miles inland, covering every major smuggling hub from Tijuana to the Yucatan. The Navy's air wings brought more than just fighters. Early warning radar planes, electronic attack aircraft, refueling tankers, and powerful escort destroyers turned these carriers into mobile fortresses. By positioning carriers in the Gulf of Mexico, the United States turned those waters into a staging ground for a sustained aerial offensive. The mobility of sea-based airfields meant strikes could be launched anywhere, anytime, without warning. Operation Phantom Strike Unleashed. On October 1st, the campaign began. Operation Phantom Strike opened with an effort to blind and cripple cartel networks before the first bomb fell. X-44 Mantas jammed communications across key regions and infiltrated cartel cyber systems, freezing financial transactions and draining accounts used to launder billions in drug money. Within hours, the cartel's ability to coordinate or pay operatives was collapsing. Then came the strikes. In the first 72 hours, 48 Mantas hit 200 high-value targets across 12 Mexican states. Major fentanyl and cocaine laboratories were destroyed with precision bunker-busting bombs. Entire fleets of cartel aircraft, 95% of their planes, were wiped out in a week, many caught on secret runways before crews could flee. Small-diameter munitions obliterated armored convoys carrying commanders, while real-time intelligence from satellites guided every strike with surgical accuracy. The offensive extended to the seas. Navy patrol aircraft and Coast Guard cutters, directed by Manta surveillance, hunted and intercepted drug submarines and fast boats. 47 submersible vessels were seized or destroyed, and smuggling lanes across the Gulf were shut down. Around-the-clock air patrols made it impossible for cartels to regroup or rebuild. U.S. Special Forces embedded on the ground used laser targeting to call in rapid follow-up strikes, while Mexican military units moved into newly cleared areas with minimal resistance. Stunning results in 90 days. The impact was swift and dramatic. Smuggling along the Rio Grande dropped by 80% in the first month, and fentanyl supplies to U.S. cities collapsed as production and transport routes were destroyed. Overdose deaths in border states fell by 40% within the first quarter, and emergency rooms saw sharp declines in opioid cases. For the first time in years, Mexican forces regained control of cartel-held areas. Police returned to once lawless towns, and civilians celebrated newfound safety. Equally striking was the cost. None. No U.S. service members were lost, and not a single X-44 Manta was hit. Electronic warfare neutralized resistance, and cartel defenses were useless against the stealth jets. Though each Manta cost around $300 million, the campaign crippled drug networks worth billions and saved countless lives, all at a fraction of the cost of decades of failed ground operations. And that's the incredible story of Operation Phantom Strike. How America's invisible fighter jet changed the fight against the cartels in just 90 days. If you found this video fascinating, don't forget to hit the like and make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.